My 4-year-old son is obsessed with superheroes, one of them being Captain America. He's been watching this Captain America and Iron Man movie over and over again, and during the July 4th timeframe, it got me thinking about how cool a red, white, and blue themed build would look. Now, I bleed the red, white, and blue colors, but I'm gonna be honest, I built this PC so he thinks it looks cool, and also because I needed to do something fun for my July 4th live stream. This is not a gaming PC build guide or template that I recommend copying like I do with my pure performance build guides, which you can copy to a T. This build actually goes against one of my major points that I just made in last week's video.
The price of freedom is high.
So for today's video, we're just gonna consider this a quick showcase of a fun little project I did, but I need you to watch till the end of the video because I actually need some help from you guys. So let's cue up that pre-roll ad now, that way we can get started. Today's video is sponsored by GVG Mall, and you probably already know that I've been using them for so long to activate Windows on a ton of my own builds. They're actually running a huge sale right now, which boosts my normal 18% discount up to 25% off if you use code ZTT18, and I'll have that linked at the top of the description. They not only have Windows keys, but also a ton of other stuff such as Office, and even game keys for platforms like Steam, Origin, and Uplay, and they even have console stuff too, like PSN prepaid cards as well. Activating Windows is super simple and only takes like 3 minutes total, so activate Windows today and remove that nasty watermark, and don't forget to use ZTT18 for 25% off. Alright, let's rapid fire through these parts so we can look at more shots of this completed build. The one disclaimer for this build is that I waited until July 1st to order all of the parts for this, which was obviously only 3 days before July 4th. And if you don't know, I do live stream every single Thursday night over on twitch.tv/ZachTechTurf. It's a good time. What that means is that in order for me to successfully run that Twitch live stream, I had to order all these parts only from Amazon Prime. Amazon is certainly big enough of a marketplace where you can get everything you need for a PC, and we do have links to everything I bought down in the description.
Internet, so helpful.
But you will absolutely overspend on some products that could have been cheaper elsewhere, like Newegg.
And it's a price I'm willing to pay.
Again, the prices that I paid are definitely not what you should strive for if you're trying to build a PC at home. I had to overpay a little bit just so I can make that live stream happen. Hopefully we're all on the same page about that now. So starting with the CPU, I wanted to keep this on the AM5 level and not go too much on the budget side of things, so I went with the Ryzen 5 7600. I paid $190 for it, which was pretty solid, and I love this option because this CPU will pair well with the cheaper mid-range GPUs around the RTX 4060 mark, and it'll scale up to almost the highest of end graphics cards. It's got great versatility for mid-range gaming PCs. I then plugged that into an ASRock A620M Pro RS Wi-Fi, and here's where my Amazon Prime limitation immediately showed itself. At the time of purchasing, before the holiday, this was the cheapest AM5 white motherboard that I could find, and there wasn't a single available white option for B650 or even X670 at a reasonable price. There's nothing inherently wrong with the A620, and it's not like we're gonna lose any real features, but in 99% of cases, I would indeed recommend going with a B650 motherboard. Next up is the RAM, and this was actually sent over to us by our friends at Crucial for a different sponsored project. It's their Pro Overclocking 2x16GB DDR5 kit that's clocked at 6000 megahertz, absolutely perfect for this build. I say that in regards to aesthetics because I really wanted to try to achieve this red, white, and blue color scheme for Captain America without having to rely on RGB. An all-white, minimalistic kit is exactly what I needed here, and bonus points because this kit is designed to work seamlessly with both Intel XMP 3.0 and AMD Expo, which is what we'll be doing.
I could do this all day.
The SSD was also the only other non-Amazon Prime part that I used, and that's simply because I already had one in inventory. This is the Team Group MP33 1TB NVMe drive, and it just continues to be one of the cheapest Gen 3 SSDs that you can find, so it'll definitely work for us here. To power everything, we have the MSI Mag A550BN, and if you've been watching literally any of my budget build guide videos this year, you should already know everything you need to about this unit. It's usually $50 over on Newegg, but I paid $60, again, because of Amazon Prime. But more importantly is that it has the wattage amount that we need, and it's rated tier C, which is all I'm looking for a build like this. Remember, you can go to zttbuildhelp.com for a full page of resources to help with your own gaming PC build projects, and that PSU tier list link and my own explanation of how to use it is on there as well. All of that is totally free to use and a bookmark, so you have quick access to it. Now, to keep the PC cool, the first part that we used for the CPU was just the stock cooler that came with the Ryzen 5 7600. I painted this all blue, which you know I love to do, and it really makes the aesthetic design and color scheme pop without costing additional money. Granted, if you stock up on spray paint, which someone like me obviously does. We also needed to add some additional case fans for cooling because the one major downside of the Antec NX200M, which is the case I selected, is that it only comes included with a single 120mm in the back. I thought it was best to add 2 of these Thermalright white TLC12CW white fans up here at the front, and these are just $7 a piece. This gives us 2 intake fans up at the front and the included one in the back for exhaust, which equates to a nice and simple positive airflow setup. Now, although that fan situation is definitely the drawback of this Antec case, for $55 on Amazon Prime shipping, I really couldn't complain. One of the things I really like about this case though is the power supply basement window, because that lets us do some cool designs on it, which we definitely took advantage of. When I read comments and posts online, it seems like 99% of people don't like the basement windows, but what happens in my mind that this is an opportunity to take my build aesthetics to the next level. I've been vinyl wrapping power supplies like this for years now, and even without a decal on top of it, the color splash that this provides looks so much better than the ugly text and sticker on the power supply. A stock ugly power supply sticking out of the basement is one of the worst eyesores for a gaming PC in my opinion, so I love the opportunity to separate my good builds from the mediocres. Now, shout out to my wife though, because per usual, she definitely came in clutch once again for this. The Amazon Prime Day shipping situation was definitely a big limitation for this build, but what's even worse is that I waited until like 6 hours before the live stream to even tell my wife that I needed some custom vinyl. Sleeping on the couch tonight. She came to the rescue though, and I originally just wanted her to print out some Captain America shields to fit the power supply dimensions, but then I also requested this actual picture of Captain America just as a curveball to see how it would turn out. During the live stream, as soon as I started visualizing that sticker over top of the power supply to test it out, I knew this was a home run. Honestly, I don't think this could have looked any better than how we did it. When you combine this sticker with the red and blue colors of the CPU cooler, Funko Pop, and the cable extensions, this color scheme turned out to be an absolute home run. For the extensions, I actually showed up to the stream with both a blue kit and a red one, and I thought I was just gonna mix and match them, but after seeing how the build was shaping out, in order to balance the colors, the best course of action was to simply just use the red ones. We're already getting a ton of blue from the big CPU cooler, Funko Pop, and even the sticker has more blue on there than red, so adding more red evenly distributes the colors. One of my favorite aspects of PC building, and specifically with the aesthetics, is making those last minute changes and decisions based off of how the PC is starting to shape up, and whenever it turns out looking like this, it is really satisfying. And finally, for the graphics card, despite what I said in last week's video about 3 different GPUs that you should consider before the RTX 4060, go figure we got an RTX 4060 in there. Now, to my credit though, this is what I said at the end of that video.
My opinion, the RTX 4060 is just not that bad. It is definitely not bad enough to judge somebody for choosing to go with this card.
But more importantly than all of that was that this was simply the only mid-ranged all-white GPU that I could get in time for the live stream. There was one more option that I could have considered, which was the all-white RX 6600, but I've been using that a lot lately, and I wanted something with just a little bit more juice. I also like the all-white Intel Arc A750, but I just used my last one for our gaming PC build giveaway. I'm actually always running a month-long giveaway during those Twitch live streams, and this is the current build that we're giving away this month. That Twitch link is down in the description, by the way. But yeah, this is the MSI Ventus RTX 4060, and it almost always sits right at $300. This is actually one of the GPUs that we often use for our Frostnova gaming PCs over on zttbuilds.com, and that has always been our most popular selling gaming PC. All in all, here's what the final parts this is looking like, and if you tried to copy this for yourself right now, you'd be somewhere just under $1,000. Taking into account the cost of the RAM kit, this total build cost is showing $978, and that does indeed include the Funko Pop. There's certainly room to optimize this though for better deals. If you aren't limited to Amazon Prime with a better and even cheaper motherboard, you could get a more budget but similar performance kit of RAM, and you could also save money with a white case that does have all the fans you need, such as the Montech Air 100, Sama ARGB Q5, or the DIY PC ARGB Q3. But now let's jump into the benchmarks real quickly, and honestly, in my opinion, we don't have to stay here long because most people already know what the Ryzen 5 7600 and RTX 4060 is capable of. It's a pretty popular combo. We'll of course be looking at 1080p high to ultra settings for almost every title, and we'll start with Cyberpunk 2077, which does exactly that. In 1080p ultra settings, we get a solid 75 FPS. Here's X Defiant, which I hope people are still playing because I really enjoyed this one, but I just don't currently have the time for it, and in 1080p ultra, I got 121 FPS. Next up is Once Human, which I did finally try myself because everyone's been playing it lately, and in 1080p very high settings, I got 108 FPS. Pretty solid for the benchmarks, but I'm not gonna lie, this game is just a bit too weird for me, at least story-wise, so I gave up on this one after like less than 2 hours. First Descendant is another one of the recent popular titles that's on on my list, and for this Captain America build, it scored 66 FPS in 1080p with high settings, but this was Sam's benchmarking run, so I still haven't touched this game for myself yet. Here's the rest of the games that we tested, and other than the normal 1080p pro setting games like Counter-Strike and Fortnite, absolutely every game is up to either high, very high, or ultra settings, and that should come to no surprise with the RTX 4060. Just like I said in last week's video, despite there being some better price to performance options, going with the RTX 4060 is still not a terrible idea. If it wasn't for the July 4th time crunch situation that I had, I probably would have gone for something else, but I absolutely do not mind having it in here at all. And if you're still watching this video, then thank you, but like I said in the intro, I need some help from you guys now. My wife and I have been having a lot of fun with these themed builds lately, and some of my personal favorites are the $400 Starfield PC and then our recent wood grain OEM build, but I could use some more ideas from you guys down in the comment section. Let me know what theme we should do next, and also feel free to check out that Starfield build video if you haven't already, because honestly that build is just as cool as this one, but it was much cheaper.